Just imagine, Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin, the first humans to set foot on the moon, spent only a couple of hours there. They had no idea that 50 years later, in 2023, we would find oxygen there and start preparing to build the first house. Impressive, isn't it? In today's episode, we will talk about all this and many other events that will soon allow us to settle on the moon. Watch this video till the end, and you will understand that the future, which seemed so distant, has already arrived. Get comfortable. We're starting. The moon, with its mystical and enticing light, is not only a symbol of beauty and romance, but also a promising place for living and exploration. Recent discoveries of water and oxygen, coupled with its proximity to our planet, make the moon an ideal candidate for colonization. As per NASA, Australia has already announced a mission to extract oxygen from lunar soil, and in partnership with ICON, plans to build the first lunar homes within the next 10-15 years. 1959. The Soviet Union took the first step in lunar exploration. In 1959, the spacecraft Luna 1 became the first spacecraft to reach the moon. Luna 1 couldn't land on the surface. It flew at a distance of 5,995 kilometers, collecting the first data about its magnetic field. Then came Luna 2, which became the first spacecraft to impact the moon's surface in the same year. It wasn't a soft landing, but rather a collision, indicated by the abrupt halt of radio signals. The impact point was identified as the lunar region Palus Putrednus, revealing the absence of radiation belts on the moon. In the same year, Luna 3 captured the first photographs of the lunar surface. These early views of the moon's far side showed a mountainous terrain vastly different from the near side, with only two dark areas named Mare Moscovrai, Sea of Moscow, and Mare Desideri, Sea of Dreams. 1961. Though slightly off the moon landing topic, it's worth mentioning Yuri Gagarin, who became the first cosmonaut to complete an orbit around Earth aboard the Vostok 1 spacecraft in 1961. Vostok 1 was the first successful manned spaceflight, and Yuri Gagarin became the first human to venture into space. 1969. Following Gagarin, US President John F. Kennedy promised to send a man to the moon by the end of the 1960s. Thus, the Apollo program was initiated. On July 20th, 1969, during the Apollo 11 mission, Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin became the first humans on the moon. Armstrong uttered the famous words, "That's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind." Subsequently, Apollo 12 landed on the moon, and missions Apollo 14, 15, 16, 17 inches continued the explorations. In total, 12 astronauts visited the moon during these expeditions, 1993 to 2006. From 1993 to 2006, due to high costs and risks, moon missions were carried out without astronauts. Besides the USSR and the USA, China, India, Japan, Israel, and the European Union successfully landed on the moon. The Japanese spacecraft Haiten, designed for testing new technologies, intentionally crashed into the moon in 1993. Similarly, the European Smart 1 mission did the same in 2006. In a similar fashion, the Chinese lunar orbiter Chang'e 1 executed a controlled descent to the moon's surface in March 2009. Since then, the Chinese lunar program has achieved 3 landings, and in January 2019, it made the first soft landing on the far side of the moon. 2008-2023. Surprisingly, despite all fears, the most significant discoveries on the moon were made by one country, India. In 2008, they discovered water on the moon, and in 2023, they found reserves of sulfur and oxygen. Water on the moon was first discovered in 2008 during the Indian lunar mission Chandrayaan-1. This discovery was a pivotal moment in lunar research, as water is crucial for potential future lunar settlements and can be used as a resource for life support and fuel production. The Moon Impact Probe, MIP, sent as part of the Chandrayaan-1 mission, detected water molecules on the lunar surface. Following this discovery, other missions confirmed and expanded our knowledge of water on the Moon. The importance of this discovery cannot be overstated. It opens up prospects for long-term human presence on the Moon and potentially using the Moon as a launchpad for further space exploration. 2023 Chandrayaan-3 was launched on July 14, 2023, with the LVM-3 rocket successfully placing the spacecraft into orbit. All eyes were on the Vikram lander, planned to land around 18 o'clock. Chandrayaan-3 landed on the Moon's south pole on August 23rd, making India the first country to land on the lunar south pole. On board the Vikram lander and the Pragyan rover, Chandrayaan-3 carries 6 instruments for scientific research. These are the first ever measurements of the elemental composition of lunar soil on site. The experiment was conducted using the LIBS instrument aboard the Pragyan rover. During the initial analysis, aluminum, sulfur, calcium, iron, chromium, and titanium were discovered. However, in subsequent analysis after additional measurements, oxygen was found. The discovered reserves are so colossal that this oxygen will be sufficient to sustain life for the entire Earth's population for tens of thousands of years. 2026. While the Indian Chandrayaan-3 mission unfolds on the Moon, the Australian Space Agency, in collaboration with NASA, has begun developing a rover as part of the Trailblazer program. Utilizing Australian expertise in remote operation, the rover will collect lunar soil to extract oxygen, a crucial step towards establishing long-term human presence on the Moon. The rover's launch is planned as part of NASA's future Artemis mission by 2026. All of this aligns with NASA's ambitious Artemis program, aimed at creating a permanent presence on the Moon and preparing for a manned mission to Mars. 2035 to 2040 NASA plans to build housing on the Moon by 2040 in partnership with the construction company Icon. The goal is to ensure the long-term stay of humans on the lunar surface. A 3D printer will be sent to the Moon for construction, utilizing concrete made from lunar rocks. Experts consider the plan achievable, and current tests of the 3D printer are scheduled to conclude by February 2024. Thanks to the joint efforts of international space agencies and the private sector, a permanent presence on the Moon is becoming not just a fantastic dream, but a real goal that humanity is striving for. Each new project and discovery bring us closer to an era where space will become a new home for humanity. And that's it, friends. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a comment about what other videos would interest you. Thanks, and goodbye.